Dream team for Super Rugby round number 14. There were a fair few standouts in this round, as per usual. Some try scorers, some guys who set up some magnificent tries, some guys who did a bit of both. Overall, it was a pretty entertaining round. People have said in the comments, only one New Zealand team won, and that was the Blues. Yes, I never thought about that. Only New Zealand team to win this round was the Blues. Hurricanes going down at home, Highlanders going down away. Chiefs losing to the Blues, and the Crusaders getting a draw over in Newlands. So, yeah, go the Blues. Let's start with some props. I have gone from the Waratahs. I've gone with Sekope Kepu. 2 runs for 4 meters is not a huge effort. It is prop-like, so we can appreciate that. 2 passes. 10 from 10 tackles is a very good work rate for a prop. And that Waratahs pack is often fairly mobile, but not that much in terms of size. And they're going up to Queensland, which does have a fair bit of bulk about it. And at times, the Waratahs were really able to put that red scrum under pressure. That was when Kepu was on, and also after he went off as well. So credit to all those guys in the front row for the Waratahs team. I've also gone with Ofatuanga Fasi, so I've gone with 2 tight heads this week. From the Blues, the mighty Blues, only New Zealand team to win. Did I mention that? 10 runs for 14 meters is again a pretty solid return for a prop. Slightly more than a meter each go. 4 passes. He also got a try, which I will admit, I initially thought maybe he'd lost control of it. But hey, it was given, so I'm not going to argue. And also made 8 from 8 tackles. Overall scrum was pretty solid. So, those are my 2 props. Guys in blue for this week. Hooker. There were a fair few choices for Hooker. Hooker was a very competitive one this week, but I have gone with Augustine Crevi from the Jaguares. 6 runs for 13 meters is getting to the point where you shouldn't be wearing a low number like 1, 2, or 3 if you're going to get more than 2 meters a go. 3 passes and 1 try, so key performer in that Jaguares team. It was really their forwards that monstered up on those Hurricanes guys, and Crevi was definitely one of those guys. He had 9 from 11 tackles, also managed the turnover. I believe their line-out was 100% while he was on the field. I think Montoya had 1 go wrong, but for the most part, Crevi had a pretty outstanding effort. He did give away 2 penalties, but I think we'll forgive him for that given the overall performance that he put in. Also from the Jaguares, I have gone with Thomas Lavanini. This guy sometimes gets himself into a bit of trouble, but he only gave away 1 penalty in this game, and otherwise he was just a monster everywhere around the game. 9 runs for 28 meters for a lock. It's getting to ridiculous territory. 9 runs, man, the guy's busy for a big guy. 1 pass, 1 clean break. I guess if he's going to get a clean break, he's going to make match up some meters with those long legs of his. He had an offload. He had 12 out of 15 tackles. Good work rate. He had a line out that he won for the Jaguares, and he also had a line out that he stole from the Hurricanes. He did concede the ball 3 times, so I guess again it wasn't a perfect effort, but for the most part, the guy was everywhere. Petty was also making himself a big nuisance for the Hurricanes at line out time, so good effort from both those Jaguares locks, but I've gone with Lavanini as my number 1 guy. I've also gone with Marvin Ori from the Lions. This guy is also another kind of up-and-coming lock for South Africa, with so many of them heading abroad. It is good to see some guys standing up. I'm talking about guys like Diaka and Snyman and Etzebeth, who are all heading overseas at the end of this year. As far as I know, Ori is sticking around. Hope so. 7 runs, 21 meters. Again, pretty good return. Beat a defender, had a clean break. 5 passes, 10 out of 11 tackles. So again, very defensively sound. 3 line-out takes, 7. He was a very busy man, and also managed a line-out steal. So a little bit of everything from Marvin Ori. Long may that continue. Let's see him kind of go from strength to strength. Speaking of strength, I've gone with Sia Kolisi as one of my loose forwards. He had 5 runs for 41 meters, and 41 meters for a loose forward is pretty high. Overall, in terms of game numbers, it's not usually enough to get you number 1 spot, but for that Stormers Crusaders game, Sia Kolisi is your number 1 meter carrier. He beat everyone. I think Havili was next for the Crusaders with like 35 or 36. So that kind of shows you just how good Sio Khaleesi was playing in that game with ball in hand. He beat a defender. He had a clean break. I mean, 20 of those meters would have been in his try, at least. So he did have a try also. He had 5 passes, 2 offloads, made 7 out of 8 tackles, also managed the turnover. The guy was just doing everything. Really, really great stuff from the Springbok captain. Next, I got another Lion here. So a fair few South Africans accumulating out there. Kwaka Smith, he had an excellent game as well. He is just in a pretty rich vein of form. 7 runs for 46 meters. You kind of expect that from Kwaka Smith, though, I guess, with his sevens background. So it's never surprising when he racks up a bit of territory with the ball. Beat a defender, had 3 passes, an offload, a try assist, 2 tries, 7 out of 8 tackles, and a turnover. He quite possibly was the best player of the week. I'm not sure. He was very, very good for the Lions. And I've also gone with an Australian. I've gone with Michael Wells, so a couple of number 8s on here. Michael Wells for the Waratahs. 10 runs for 30 metres is a good return. He had 4 passes, 2 defenders beaten, 2 clean breaks, 2 tries. He was doing everything in 2s, and 11 out of 12 tackles. So he's a guy that statistically always does pretty well. He racks up very good numbers. I can't help but wonder if he's a potential like Moneyball guy for Michael Cheika. I'm not sure if he'd be able to take that step up, but for the most part, the guy always puts up good numbers, and he's pretty versatile, so he does a bit of everything. Into the backs. Now, number 9 is traditionally the hardest one for me to pick. I had a bit of a tough time picking number 9 this week, but I have eventually gone with Andre Warner from the Bulls, and there's a reason for it. So he had 2 runs, 2 meters, which is not that flash. 3 kicks, which is not a whole lot of kicks for a number 9. Even 28 passes for a number 9 is not a whole lot of passes. But he had 14 out of 15 tackles, which, if you can believe it, was the number 1 for that Bulls-Rebels game. The number 9 had the most tackles. When you think top tacklers of games, you think guys like Dwayne Vermeulen, or maybe, maybe more tackle bust with him, but Matt Todd, or, somebody like this, maybe Warren Whiteley. Andre Warner? Top tackler. 14 out of 15, man. Credit to the guy. I should say a special mention to his replacement, Ambrose Papia, who threw the ball between Wilginia's legs to set up one of the tries. That was almost worth putting him on the board just on its own as kind of a key moment. Also, I thought Aaron Smith had a good game, but hey, I've gone with Warner. And he was helped setting up this guy, Andre Pollard, who put in another good performance. The Bulls are really going to miss him when he leaves for Montpellier. 4 runs for 13 meters, 2 defenders beaten, 8 passes, a clean break, a try assist, 3 conversions, 2 penalties, so he had 17 points. Boy, was this guy criticized after last week's game against the Crusaders. Like when he had his hands on his hips after the Crusaders would just run in another try, or his hands on his head. He was copping a lot of flack. I guess the best way to answer them is to put in a good shift, and he did that. Next, I've gone with Geronimo de la Fuente from the Jaguares. This guy is one of my favorite players. He doesn't get anywhere near the kind of media attention as half of the other kind of 10s or 12s around the game. As far as 12s go, this guy does a lot of work, and just doesn't get talked about. But for this game, 12 runs for 47 meters, again good. 2 defenders beaten, 4 clean breaks. He was making a mess of that Hurricanes defense. 7 passes, 3 offloads, also managed a try, 8 out of 9 tackles. All-round good performance from him. All eyes were on Laumape for that game. I mean, sure enough, he scored a try as well. But I think, the Jaguares guys got the better of that deal. I've gone with another 12 here in Samu Karevi. That guy keeps putting in a good effort. It's still not the complete article because he had 13 runs, 58 meters, a clean break, 4 defenders beaten. You kind of expect him to chalk up the meters and the defenders beaten. 8 passes, also got a try assist, 4 out of 6 tackles. I guess kind of like Laumape, sometimes you'd like to see him making his presence felt a bit more defensively. Karevi does have a bad habit of missing tackles. He makes a lot, don't get me wrong, he makes a lot, but he misses a lot as well. So proportionally, it's not always the best look. Outside backs, I've gone with Roscoe Speckman. Otherwise, like Quokka Smith, he's potentially my player of the week as well because he was excellent. 5 runs for 20 metres doesn't really give enough credit to how much impact he had on the game. He had 2 defenders beaten, 3 passes including an offload. He had a try assist, which was his kick through, regather, drop to the ground to avoid tacklers, stand up after they've run past him, American football style, quarterback throw the pass to the oncoming player to score the try. That was his try assist. It was an absolute thing of beauty. He scored a try of his own, had 3 out of 3 tackles, and also managed the turnover. He did cough the pill up a few times, so again, it wasn't a 10 out of 10 game, but it was pretty good from him, and he has been a really good signing for the Bulls. I've also gone with, from the Reds, Matt McGahn. Was this his first game of the year? I feel like it was. Normally a 10, playing at 15 for this one. It seems to be a thing for Brad Thorne now. He likes playing 10s at 15. I guess the positions are often connected. A lot of guys can switch from one to the other. 12 runs for 80 metres is one of the better returns of all the players this week. A lot of the run meters were down. 3 clean breaks, a defender beaten, an offload, 5 passes, 2 try assists. One of them, if you haven't seen it, he cross kicks the ball to the guy on the wing, who you may assume is a winger, but was a hooker. And I don't know if he knew it was the hooker and thought, I'm going for it anyway, or if he just saw a guy in a red jersey and thought, I'm kicking to that guy. Either way, it was on a string. The guy got it and scored a try. So, yep, credit to him for that. Also made 7 out of 9 tackles, which is pretty solid. And lastly, I've gone for another one of my Blues. I've gone with Caleb Clark from the Blues. I must admit, Cam Clark from the Waratahs also had a pretty good game in terms of a try saver. Try saving is part of the reason Caleb Clark goes on here as well. It seems the Clark guys were pretty good with try saving tackles this week. He had 5 runs for 23 metres. Again, doesn't do him all that much justice, although he did have 2 passes and a try assist. 6 from 6 tackles, including one of them, which was a back from the dead kind of try-saving tackle when it looked for all money like the Chiefs were going to score. He also managed 2 turnovers. So, yes, those are my 15 players for the week. As always, you guys let me know the guys who I've missed because there are many. I should say, like Murphy is the hooker who took that high ball. It's pretty insulting to him that he can be out on the wing, catch a high ball, score a try, and not get credit for it on my board. Also, Cody Taylor got a line break and set up a try of his own. So there were plenty of hookers this week. Peter Steph-Lutoy made a whole heap of tackles. Artie Savia has just been class every week. I feel like if his performance levels were lower, Artie Savia, and then he put in one of these current performances, I might notice him more. But he's just been so good every week. It's kind of, you expect him to be that good now. As I said, Ambrose Papia passing through Guinea's legs was another slightly insulting but very clever trick. If he's going to close you down, use that extra space that he's providing somewhere else. Anyway, those are my 15 guys. You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.